legitimate project that Prince Harry has, the Invictus Games, the only thing that from start to finish is considered a success that people admire.
Our contest after his 10 years of service in the military to help inspire soldiers and veterans coping with injuries.
Invictus was inspired by the experiences I had alongside our servicemen and women from many nations.
Meghan and Harry's motorcade.
Prince Harry is no stranger to headlines. But this time, it's not about palace feuds or streaming deals. It's about something far messier: money. Allegations of misused taxpayer funds, VIP excess, and executive cover-ups have turned the Invictus Games into a financial powder keg, and now the chairman is lawyering up.
On stage, opening the same games where 5 years ago they announced their relationship.
Please welcome my incredible husband, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex.
The Duke and Duchess of Sussex.
For nearly a decade, the Invictus Games stood as Harry's most dignified retort to critics who dismissed him as the royal rebel without a cause. A passion project born from personal military experience, the Games were hailed as a triumph, a safe haven for wounded veterans, a public service win, a personal redemption. Veterans saw hope. Politicians saw unity. The public saw a prince finally standing for something beyond tabloid drama. But now, that legacy is cracking. The very event, built to uplift heroes, is unraveling under the weight of scandal. A scandal that poses a single damning question. Where did the money go?
News this week, and it has been quite eventful. What's the latest?
In 2023, Dusseldorf went all in to host the Invictus Games, committing a staggering $40 million to transform the city into a world-class venue. But nearly $30 million of that, sourced directly from German taxpayers, has become the centerpiece of a financial disaster now under full-blown legal scrutiny. The very games meant to celebrate sacrifice may have become a case study in spending gone rogue.
Empowerment and showcasing their unity.
When I talk to my son Archie about what he wants to be when he grows up, some days it's an astronaut, other days it's a pilot. But what I remind him is that no matter—
And at the heart of the firestorm? Don Lindsay, chairman of the Invictus Games Foundation, who has reportedly authorized a sweeping, no-holds-barred legal investigation into allegations of gross financial misconduct. According to insiders, this isn't just bad. It's catastrophic. The largest scandal to ever hit a royal-affiliated charity, with some insiders whispering that it could eclipse even the disgrace surrounding Prince Andrew. The numbers? Jaw-dropping. Early reports suggest roughly 24% of the entire game's budget, around $10 million, was funneled into luxury hotels, private security, VIP transport, and personal requests allegedly tied to none other than Prince Harry and Meghan Markle themselves.
Of the Invictus Games CEO Dominic Reed, who's been in the position for basically 10 years since the inception of the Invictus Games, he released a statement which—
Let that sink in. While wounded veterans scrambled for housing, trained with outdated equipment, and made do with second-hand gear, Harry and Meghan were allegedly soaking in $10 million worth of luxury. A royal-sized tab of perks, privileges, and five-star indulgences, funded in part by taxpayers.
when you grow up, it's your character that matters most. And nothing would make his mum and me prouder than to see him have the character of what we see before us today. You as a community.
Even more staggering, just 3% of the total $40 million budget, roughly $1.2 to $2 million, was reportedly spent on athlete services and equipment. Yes, the very veterans the games were created to honor seem to have been sidelined in favor of curated photo ops, red carpet moments, and a dazzling spotlight on the Sussexes.
But also highly competitive internationally.
Yes, of course, highly competitive, but for those of people who are asking what was that all about, there is no one else that I can think of that was going to top.
For Prince Harry, this is more than just a PR hiccup. It's an existential threat to his entire post-palace identity. The Invictus Games have long served as his most bulletproof alibi. Proof that, even after stepping away from royal duty, he stood for something bigger than himself. But now, that narrative is buckling under the weight of allegations.
And then parried with another statement thanking him for all his service. Dominic Reed is a former soldier, so this is something that's very close to his heart. And he really
Because if the investigation confirms even a fraction of what's being whispered behind the scenes, Harry's transformation from decorated veteran to self-styled philanthropist could unravel overnight. The champion of wounded warriors might suddenly look a lot more like a celebrity opportunist wrapped in noble branding.
Overcome immense challenges, and together you are healing and teaching the world as you go.
As for Meghan, her role is under the microscope. Multiple British and German outlets allege she demanded bespoke accommodations, flew in her own security team, and leveraged the games to promote personal projects, including behind the scenes. Netflix access. What was billed as a mission of service now risks being remembered as a glorified PR campaign for brand Sussex.
Well, let's talk about the Invictus Games, because this originated in a momentary light bulb moment you had, as it were, in a plane coming back from Afghanistan during your first tour.
The betrayal felt by the veteran community has been raw and immediate. Many already skeptical of the Sussex's Hollywood pivot are no longer holding back. The disillusionment is public, loud, and growing. Because when wounded warriors feel used, no amount of palace exile or production deals can spin that into heroism.
From where it was to where it is now. The curious thing is the fact that he didn't stay to see through the Winter Games, which was actually his idea, and which was the reason why you saw Prince Harry.
Donors, once proud to fund a cause rooted in recovery and resilience, are now pulling out. Many gave under the assumption that their money would fund adaptive equipment, coaching, and travel for veterans. Instead, they're demanding refunds. Major sponsors reportedly reconsidering their affiliation with a brand that now screams controversy instead of courage.
Was, however, discreet, perhaps the couple keen to not become the main attraction. But met international competitors, it wasn't long before word spread.
As for the German officials, they're livid. Sources close to Dusseldorf City Council say members feel misled, believing their generous funding was funneled into a glitzy PR circus rather than into the hands of the wounded warriors they pledged to support. A city spokesperson publicly declared the investigation a matter of public accountability, adding pointedly, "No one, not even royalty, is above scrutiny."
As an officer, I'd been training for 3 years, training with a select group of guys. We were a tight-knit team. I'd already been told I wasn't allowed to go to Iraq, but I was allowed to go to Afghanistan. Let's not get...
With a formal audit now underway, every invoice and wire transfer is being dissected. Allegations of inflated vendor contracts, hidden expenditures, and opaque third-party deals have surfaced. Don Lindsay, once seen as Harry's most loyal, Invictus ally, has reportedly pivoted hard, telling colleagues that the foundation's integrity must be preserved, even if it means cutting off the head of the beast.
Whether this had anything to do with the former CEO's decision to step down, but so far we haven't seen any indication of that. I think he just thinks it's his time, and I suspect they're more personal reasons.
The media in full piranha mode. British tabloids are gleefully comparing Harry's spending to the same royal excess he once decried. German headlines are calling it a betrayal of the wounded. Even American outlets, once Sussex-friendly, are turning, asking tough questions about whether this was philanthropy or just prestige-wrapped profiteering.
Turn to Europe in the public eye for a competition founded by the prince himself, and it's clear they've been missed.
The pair couldn't resist also hitching a ride with these young...
And then there's the Netflix footage. Sources say behind-the-scenes clips from the Dusseldorf Games could expose damning optics, veterans being shuffled off camera so Harry and Meghan could stage polished moments for the documentary. If those tapes confirm it, the Invictus brand might not just be cracked, it could be obliterated.
You know, the training had been done, we gelled together, and I was out there with the guys, and to be taken away from your team, not knowing what was going to happen.
Should the investigation lead to criminal charges, or even a damning paper trail, the consequences could be catastrophic. The Sussex's philanthropic empire, once their moral lifeboat post-Megxit, could sink in the sea of public distrust. Netflix, Spotify, and other corporate allies may quietly back away. Worst of all, the veterans, the soul of Invictus, may abandon the cause altogether. And what becomes of Harry then? a prince once admired for building a sanctuary for heroes, may instead be remembered as the man who turned it into a luxury brand for two.
Founded by the prince himself, and it's clear they've been missed.
The pair couldn't resist also hitching a ride with these youngsters. Their presence here is welcomed not only by visitors.
And just when it seemed the scandal had peaked, it got grimmier. Two senior Invictus executives were reportedly pushed out, and not gently, after questioning the Sussexes' spending. Fired for asking where the money went.
To swallow. Once on that plane heading back with three wounded British soldiers who were wrapped up in plastic with tubes coming out of their mouth and out of their arms, all in induced coma.
These weren't interns or part-timers. They were seasoned insiders, deeply respected within the foundation. But the moment they started pressing on financial irregularities, gone. One source described it plainly. They sniffed around the wrong receipts and then, boom, gone. Like they never existed.
But yet, he suddenly remembered why he was put on this planet, and he's tapped back into the amazing legacy given to him by his mother. With incredible privilege and wealth comes responsibility and...
Let's call it what it is. A strategic purge. An alleged cleanup job meant to protect the glossy public image of Harry and Meghan from any inconvenient truths. Forget transparency. This was about optics. And anyone poking holes in the royal narrative? Out the door.
Or do such a thing. I do think that she was a working member of the royal family long enough to know that she should be...
Coincidence? Not even close. Sources inside the foundation say the two ousted executives were raising red flags over outrageous expenses. Think 5-star suites, fleets of black SUVs, and private security teams that looked more suited for a royal wedding than a veterans event. Meanwhile, the wounded warriors at the heart of it all were left with crumbs. And the moment those concerns reached the Sussex inner circle, the atmosphere turned ice cold.